everybody, it's Janae Canis from Lectin Free Solutions. Today I have a really delicious cracker recipe for you that is not only Plant Paradox Keto Intensive friendly, but also Keto FLAX for all of us that have the ApoE4 gene. This is a very, very low carb cracker, and it's made with walnut flour. So let's get started on it. I'll run down the ingredients for you and we'll start adding it into the food processor, and the next thing you know, we'll have a dough. As you know, my family eats a lot of different recipes that are made with walnut flour for vein flexibility. We have found, testing with Dr. Gundry, that it is just really miraculous at how much it really does increase our vein health and vein flexibility. So we try to have at least one serving of walnuts every day, and it's really made a difference for my family, and I hope you'll add it to yours as well. The other reason that I come up with all of these different walnut recipes is that we have quite a few people in the family that are allergic to almonds, so that makes my job a little bit harder, but we have come up with some pretty delicious walnut recipes. So check out on our Lectin Free Solutions YouTube and look for some of those. There's some pretty yummy ones there. All right, anyway, for this cracker recipe, this is a small batch, so this is very easy to double. What I have in this bowl that we're going to put into the food processor, going to make our own walnut flour mixture. If you don't want to make the walnut flour, just add to the other dry ingredients, just add ground walnut meal or whatever they're selling as walnut flour. It works perfectly fine. So I've got 1 cup of whole walnuts. I have 1/3 cup of ground flax meal. I have 1 tablespoon of coconut flour. I have 1/2 teaspoon of iodized sea salt, and I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So those are all the dry ingredients. We're going to mix all of them together, slide them into that food processor. I'm going to give them a quick whir until they resemble a flour. It's very fast to do this. We're almost done. Sorry for the noise, but it's quick. Okay, that's it. Now, if you want to look down inside of here, you can see that it is really, really fine. All of the ingredients are pulverized together. Okay, now what I'm going to do is add this to a bowl, and to that bowl I have I'm going to add 1 pastured egg. I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and 1/2 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. That's what I have in here. And we will just stir this together until our dough becomes the consistency of a pie crust is basically what you want. We're almost there. This is such a fast recipe. Okay, so this is what you have. It will hold nicely together like a ball. And now what I will do is get the parchment paper out and we'll roll this out. Okay, here we are back with our cracker dough, and it is nice and moist. What we're going to do is flatten that out with a rolling pin. I have to tell you that I'm at my new kitchen in Arizona, and I had to go buy a rolling pin today, and I'm not very used to using this one. So we'll see how it goes. You know, I noticed when I rolled this out at home that it's like any other pie crust. Sometimes what you need to do is, I'll show you, you need to cut some of the pieces off and rearrange it so that you can get the appropriate thickness, and that's just what I'm going to do with this. Let me grab a knife. We're here in Arizona doing a little R&R, and you know me, this is how I relax, is by cooking. So we're trying to make sure that this kitchen is set up so that we have all the tools that we need, and it's coming along, but it does take a little doing to set up 2 kitchens. Right when I think I have everything, then I realize that I'm missing that one thing I need. Okay, so let's do this again. Sort of like building a little puzzle. And this dough it's very forgiving, but I want to have it as much in a rectangle shape as I can and get them rolled out. Now, one thing I'm going to be doing with this recipe and my FLAX flatbread cracker recipe is I'm going to start making these ahead of time for the holidays. I like to do you know, boards that have lots of delicious little treats on them, and it's really nice to be able to offer a compliant cracker. And especially since most of my family has exactly the same health issues, it's nice that we can feel like that we're having the same food as everybody else, but that it's compliant. Okay, that should be pretty good. Just, you know, I know some of you are a little more, I'm not going to say the word, but some of you are a little more determined to have it absolutely perfect. I'm not really one of those people. I'm not too opposed to freeform, but I'll do my best to get it as straight as possible. So what I'm going to do is cut these into, I'm not going to make these really large. You can make them any size that you want, but I try to get as many out of the batch as I can. And this will fill up. Let's see, these on the end are going to be a little misshapen, but that's okay. I'll eat those. Now, one other trick. It's a little bit warm here, so you may, if your crackers don't want to come up off your parchment paper real easily, what you can do is just pick up this whole piece of parchment, put it on your cookie sheet, and leave it in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. And then they'll pop right off. I'm not sure if we're going to have that issue or not, but I'm going to be finding out in a minute. Okay, just like a pie crust, what we're going to do is give each of these little squares a poke with the fork so it lays down nicely on the cookie sheet. You can do this on the cookie sheet or you can do it here. I'm just going to quickly do it here. You could bake this as one whole piece, or you can separate them like I'm going to do and just put them individually on the cookie sheet. Now, like I said, I'm not sure how well these are going to go on here. They may stick, they may not. No, they look like they're going to go pretty well. Now, since we have walnut flour, if you've worked with it before, you know that it really gets dark fast. It burns easily. So you really need to keep your oven low, and you need to keep your eye on it, because I think what I will do with these is start off, this is a new oven for me to use, so I am going to start off at a 325 oven, and then halfway through I may actually lower down to a 300 oven so that they stay as light as possible but still get crunchy. I'll finish putting the crackers on the cookie sheet, get them in the oven, and then I'll give you the exact cooking times and temperatures that I use to make these a success. I was looking in the pantry and I remembered that I brought this Florida salt, peri-peri salt, over here to Arizona to use, and it is a really nice hot spicy salt that we brought home from Portugal. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of these with this tasty salt, leave half of them without and half of them with, and that's about half. And now we're going to get those in the oven. Guess what? Our crackers are all ready. That was very fast. This new oven runs a little bit hot, so it took about 15 minutes at 325 degrees. I think that you can just plan on 325 with most likely 20 minutes, but like I said, nut flours can burn really easily, so just keep your eye on them and start checking. I would start checking at about 12 minutes. These are really, they're the perfect crispness, and I wouldn't want to have them any darker than this. Sometimes that happens though. They won't taste burned, but they will be darker. The first batch that I made was quite a bit darker than this. If you saw the sample that I posted on Facebook, but I did bake those at a little bit higher temperature. Anyway, add a little nut butter to these. If you're allowed to have cheese with that, like I'm not, then add that to it. And I think that you're really going to like these. They're nice and crispy. The addition of that little peri-peri salt is just a little bit spicy. These are good. I think you're really going to like this addition. Thanks again for tuning in, and thanks for all your support. I really appreciate it.